The College Football Hall of Fame has made some changes to allow Mike Leach to get into the Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about those changes. We also got my group of five surprise teams. I got a little bit of bonus content for you guys later on here on this Friday edition, May 30th of 2025. We begin the month of June in just 2 days. And in doing that, we begin preview season. Florida State preview comes out Sunday, June 1st. Make sure you stick around. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Especially subscribe. That way you can stick around for every single one of the upcoming 67 previews that are going to be going every single day, Sunday to Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss any of them. With that said, this is Armchair Analysis, and welcome in to this Friday edition show. We do have some stuff to talk about before we get into nothing but previews, pretty much, until the end of the summer. And we're going to kick this thing off with some news out of Georgia Tech, which isn't really news. It's more so just kind of something that I saw on social media, and it really sparked some interest for me. Georgia Tech has handed out rings for last season's performance, which was a 7-6 season, and it included a bowl loss. And maybe I need to look a little bit closer into this and why this exists. But I found it quite interesting, if I'm being honest, because usually, I mean, this is kind of a first for me. I know this is going to sound like I'm coming at Georgia Tech for doing this, and I'm trying to find, for whatever reason, I lost the page from earlier that I was using. Here we go. So they went 5-0 at Bobby Dodd Stadium for the first time in 25 years and had two top 10 wins, including their Florida State and Miami wins. Now, I don't know if I would really consider it a top 10 win. I guess at the time the Florida State win was. But rings for 7-6, yeah, you went 5-0 at home and great, like awesome. You should be proud of that achievement. But I don't know if it's overly necessary. I thought it was just a little much, honestly. I mean, there's unfinished business to take care of, especially for Haynes King, Malik Rutherford coming back. Like, this is a team that can compete for an ACC championship, especially if things go the way they are kind of expected to go. And we're celebrating a 7-6 season. There should be there's things on the horizon here that you can be focusing on and preparing for. Just, I hope it doesn't result in if they go 7-6 again this year, we're going to sit back and say, what the hell? Because again, this is a team that should theoretically be in the conversation, maybe even the college football playoff conversation. It just feels like a little much to me. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I've seen a lot of people kind of in the same boat as I am. Some people a lot less kind about it. It was just, it was something, that's for sure. Moving on, very briefly, the College Football Hall of Fame has changed their head coach requirements for entrance into the Hall of Fame, dropping the win percentage down to a .995 winning percentage, which obviously lets Mike Leach be eligible. Why? Because there was so much backlash over the fact that he wasn't in already, and I'm one of those who certainly agree that he should be in, and I don't think that there was a necessity to change the requirement, but doing so is okay. The reason I don't think there was a necessity was that, unlike the majority of coaches who are currently in the Hall of Fame or are just outside of the Hall of Fame, he did not choose when his career came to an end. And the fact of the matter is, if I'm not mistaken, if he would have won the bowl game and then won the first two games of the regular season at a minimum the following season, he would have had the winning percentage. I believe the bowl game might have even done so. I'd have to go back and look at what the stats were. personally, I love it because Mike Leach is a guy who created one of the most, or well, helped, along with Hal Mum, of course, helped prevent, what in the world? Helped create one of the most potent offenses that college football has ever seen, and really modernized the sport, especially the passing game, with the air raid concept. And what that did, and what that's done to this point, has put us in a position where some teams can even the playing field a little bit. By no means are these teams that kind of use the gimmicks a playoff or championship contender in a lot of cases. Obviously, Jeff Levy's doing or trying to do what he's doing at Mississippi State. We saw Zach Kitley's offense last year at Texas Tech, now going to be at Florida Atlantic, and what they can probably be. Ben Arbuckle runs a very similar scheme over formerly at Washington State, now at Oklahoma. There's a lot of coaches who come from that Mike Leach tree, and it's obvious to say, given the previous statement, that without him, none of these guys would exist. And we could argue that maybe college football never goes into more of a spread out style. Certainly it could have, and Oregon was working their way to it more so with the spread option attack. But Mike Leach and what this air raid offense has created for the sport can't be dismissed, can't be ignored. Like, it is as big of a deal as people say it is. I'm a huge fan of this. I think, I've been on multiple rants about Mike Leach and his deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm gonna stick to that here, saying that I'm all for it, and I agree that he should be there, and I assume that means that he's going to be there next season. We will move on, and I apologize. This video is going really quick. I am exhausted. I'm coming off of a 13-hour shift at work, and then I've got to go. Actually, I got to get out of here in the next 15-20 minutes from currently recording this at 8 a.m. To get to an appointment this morning. So trying to get through this video, and then later today kick into everything I've got to get set up for the months ahead of previews. So I did my Power 5 surprise teams. I was asked to go ahead and do my group of 5 or group of 6 surprise teams. I'm going group of 5. I'm bunching the Pac-12 and Mountain West, Pac-2 and Mountain West together. Everything else, though, I'm still going to do 6, though. I'm going to do a second team from a conference. So we'll see what I go with there. I'm going to go in order of least likely to make the playoffs based on conference schedule and stuff like that, to what I think is most likely by conference. Out of the Conference USA, I'm taking Sam Houston State to be the surprise team over there. The reason I'm doing so is quite simple. Phil Longo leaves Wisconsin and takes over the head coaching duties there. Of course, Casey Keeler leaves and goes to Temple. Phil Longo takes over, and the roster isn't bad. Now, it's not particularly great, but it doesn't have to be. In the Conference USA, to be a contender, which, again, they're still transitioning, not quite eligible for postseason, but to be a contender, you don't need to be good. You need to be a well-coached team with a good quarterback, and I think Sam Houston answers those questions. So with that, Sam Houston's my surprise team out of the Conference USA. Out of the MAC, I'm taking Western Michigan. I love what this team looks like. I'm expecting the quarterback to be Brock Lowry, an Indiana transfer who is coming into his redshirt sophomore season, if I'm not mistaken. I have some good expectations from him, but really the expectations can be whatever they want, because I expect a lot from Buckley and Cabana, the 2 running backs. I feel terrible because I'm forgetting Buckley's first name, but I know it's Cole Cabana, of course, a transfer from Michigan. Going to jump over. I think that's a 1-2 running back conversation, a group of 5. might be one of a 1-2 running back combination. I think I said conversation. That's not quite it. Again, I apologize. But these two guys are going to be, I think, really solid players, really help out Brock Lowry and being able to kind of develop and become his own, come into his own, I guess really is the answer I'm looking for. And then, of course, you get Blake Bozeman, a guy that I ranked as one of the top 10 tight ends in college football, and I expect a lot of big things from him going forward this season. This Western Michigan team could compete for a MAC championship. Going to the Sun Belt, I really like Arkansas State. Of course, Butch Jones returns for another year, and that's a big enough deal as it stands. But we've talked a lot about Jalen Rayner and what he can be, and we didn't quite get it last year. I have an expectation with what is a down Sun Belt conference in 2025. The Arkansas State, having not been picked apart by the portal quite the way everybody else has, I think the Red Wolves are in a position to maybe make a run. Of course, UL Monroe might be the favorite right now, which is something that maybe 5 years ago nobody would have even thought to say. Arkansas State's a team that I think can really shake things up. I have a lot of high hopes for this program in 25. Going to the Mountain West, I like San Diego State a lot. Really looking into this roster, and of course, I love Sean Lewis. I think he's one of the best offensive minds, another air raid guy. But I also really like Jaden Denegal, a guy who didn't get many opportunities or many looks at the University of Michigan simply because of who was around him. I think that there is potential for Denegal to turn into a really solid quarterback at the Group of 5 level, maybe transfer back into the Power 5 after a year at San Diego State. In the Mountain West, having a good quarterback tends to get you really far. I'm not saying San Diego State is the perfect team. I think there are many flaws on a lot of rosters, but having a quarterback sets you ahead in a lot of cases in the Mountain West. I like San Diego State a lot. Moving to the American, I like ECU. I know they're making a lot of changes. Of course, a brand new head coach is one of them. But they went 8-5 last year with a roster that was not expected to do 8-5 things. On top of that, I have a lot of trust in Caden Hauser. I think he's a guy that I mentioned breaking out this season, and I think that's certainly going to happen. The biggest question is, how do you replace the production of Chase Sowell at wide receiver? I think they have a lot of ideas and options of how to do so. The only other thing for me is ECU is typically a defensive first, minded team, and they promote their defensive coordinator, which is a big enough deal as it stands to kind of hold that together. But in a lot of talks and a lot of conversations around that program, the offense is supposed to carry this team in 25. And if that's the case, we will see what that means. Does that mean the ECU goes on this incredible run? Or does that mean they're in shootouts? Yet to be determined and yet to be seen. But I really like this ECU team. My other American team that I really like, and this one is solely heart-based, Florida Atlantic with Caden Veltkamp and Zach Kitley paired up together. Kitley, I presume, is going to be the main play caller on offense, or at least have a very big hand in the plays that are called offensively. Caden Veltkamp is a guy who's coming out from Western Kentucky who can sling the rock with the best of them. One of my favorite quarterbacks in a Group of 5, and I'm really shocked he didn't make the jump to P5. But it works because FAU has a chance to really shine here. This is a conference, the American, that over half of the teams, half of the conference members, are ushering in a new era, new head coaches. FAU just might be the team that succeeds the most out of all of them. Really like what they bring to the table. So let me know what you guys think. I got to get out of here for today, but hope you guys have had a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, and make sure you're tuning in on Sunday, 1 p.m., Florida State 2025 season preview. I am pumped. It's preview season from here on until we get to the month of August. Thank y'all for tuning in. so much. Really appreciate the month of May that we've had here on this channel. A lot of growth, a lot of success, and I'm looking forward to pushing that through the month of June. So with that said, we'll see you guys Sunday. Florida State preview.